Shane, you're joining us now to talk about what we feel is it's a bit of a side venture from the cage. It's a beautiful thing. You're doing a great deed, I think. Really, what you're doing. You're looking out for people who we spoke before about this, that might be, say, looked under the radar, so to speak, because it's come up to Remembrance Sunday in the UK, and we talked about how people talk about the people who have lost their lives. But
yeah, they talk about the fallen, but sometimes they forget the people left behind to pick up the pieces, move on with life, and with that very potent scar that they have to carry.
Absolutely. And so, Shane, do you want to elaborate on what you're doing for people at home, and just explain a bit more about what made you come to this decision to do this?
Absolutely. Just like you guys said, it's with the people left behind or the not so well promoted people. More or less, my wife, she plays semi-pro soccer, and she was getting ready for the trials to be on the national team for the Filipino national team, and unfortunately she jumped to header a ball and came down and tore her knee up pretty good, so she had to have reconstructive surgery on her knee. Next thing you know, the Marine Corps ball in the United States is on this year is being held on November 20th. The birthday for the Marine Corps is on November 10th. And they always have a grand celebration. Well, I can't have a date that has a giant knee brace on. And my wife, came to me and said, "Babe, go ahead and bring anybody you feel." So I went out and I just started thinking about who to invite to the Marine Corps ball as my date. And I thought no better person than a soldier, a Marine's mother, wife, or daughter that was killed in action while serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. In the United States, we call them Gold Star family members. So I figured I might as well bring them because, like you guys had just mentioned to the people at home, they're the people that kind of they float under the radar and they're not well promoted. So to have the opportunity to bring somebody that has given such a large piece of their heart and their life to a cause and lost it's to be able to bring them and show them that not only the Marine Corps but the Marines themselves, you're still family members in service. I know around the world, I have some friends in the Canadian Army, and I met a bunch of the European military while I was serving in Iraq, and it doesn't matter where you're from. When you take that oath to protect your country, it's a bond that you live and die by. So I'm showing that by bringing these Gold Star family member.
And it's touching. It's a beautiful thing to hear. And I believe that I hope as well that you've maybe tried to encourage other men to do that as well in the Marine Corps for this, that maybe don't have dates as well. Is that something that's being echoed by them as well?
Absolutely. At the end of my video on YouTube, on YouTube is where I released the video, and it's gotten quite a bit of attention from the media worldwide. And it's not something I ever expected, but it's very welcoming and it's good. At the end of my video, I encouraged other Marines to go ahead and accept the challenge from me to invite a Gold Star family member that, if they don't have a date, because a lot of Marines, female and male, they'll go to the Marine Corps ball with no date. And I basically say at the end of the video, there's no need or reason that anybody should go to these Marine Corps ball celebrations alone. So yes, I do encourage it, and I hope others follow suit.
And we will, on our Facebook page, put that video up, and we'll put the YouTube link up, so you can tune in, ladies and gentlemen, to watch it, and just to see. It's a different direction from MMA, but what we do is we do stuff like that on this podcast. Anyway, we encourage stuff like this.
See, and the bigger picture of things is, we as people, we don't know what's going through those ladies' minds, and that might be the one thing they need to reopen themselves, shall we say.
One day a year. It's one day a year, and it can make a huge difference.
you know, and sometimes like I don't know if like being ex-services myself, like I'm ex-British Army, and whenever you meet somebody else, doesn't matter if like just last weekend in Dublin, I was talking to U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Army, and it was almost like you've known each other for ages within moments. And yet, you know, we're separated by thousands of miles. You know,
Yeah,
it's
an ocean.
you know, yeah, pretty damn big one. But there's like it's like a big family and understanding throughout. You know, if you've served somewhere, it's almost like you have a kind of an understanding into everyone. You know, and you know, I think people need to embrace it. Like, and this is a brilliant way of doing it. I think
it is. It's great. I think like you said, the media took onto it. It just touches people's hearts, and I think especially with MMA, because this is what we love to do. And yourself, you compete. You're doing very well. You're signed with World Series of Fighting. You're an absolute savage, and you've got that kind of aggressive fighting in this eyes, and it shows that you've got that heart that people, you know, the people don't realize. We like to get this point across to people around the world that, you know, just because people compete in a cage doesn't mean that they're just aggressive.
Barbaric animals or
exactly.
something. You know, it's
this is a beautiful side of things. Can you talk about other things that you venture? Because you don't just do this little one-off inviting someone to the ball. You do a lot more than this, don't you? To help ex-service people or, you know, other things like that.
Yeah, I do. I help out. I mean, my bio's online. People can Google me pretty easily. On Google, there's stories about me. I suffered pretty severely through depression and alcohol and drug addictions after I got back from Iraq and I was medically released from the Marine Corps. And I basically, MMA saved my life. MMA and Jiu-Jitsu saved my life. So nowadays, I go out and I actually help a veterans group. You know, it's free of charge, and if you're a military veteran, you know, that has drug, alcohol, or you just want to get in shape, we have an MMA program we run free of charge. We teach these guys. We bring in high-level UFC, Bellator, World Series of Fighting veterans. We've had Brian Stan there, Denny Martinez, the Gremlin. He's a pretty regular guy. Chris Lieben. I mean, the who's who of MMA comes through and teaches these guys free of charge. You know, you try to go to a seminar with any one of these guys, it's costing you $100, $200 a spot, and not in our house. You know, and that's really cool. These people show so much love. Another thing I do, I work with Danny Martinez. He's a flyweight in the UFC currently. He has invited me and graciously let me be part of his team for the I Thumbs Down Bully campaign. So you know, it's called Gremlin Kids. I mean, we go to troubled elementary schools and hand out backpacks to troubled areas of San Diego and outlying communities. We go around in this and we teach these kids, you know, that bullying is not okay. We give them backpacks with snacks and stuff like that if they're you know, less privileged than the rest of the kids. That way they're not bullied. Another thing I do veteran speaking. I go out and I speak to veterans as well as, you know, and I let these guys know where I was, what I'm doing, and that there is hope for them. And that way, and I say in all my speeches, if my worst day of me, you know, in 2009 I tried to kill myself, if I say, if that one instance in my life, if I can change from then to now, I mean, if that was my lowest point, can be your saving, then it was all worth it. So it's really cool, you know, that I have my fingers in so many things, and it kind of irritates my wife because I really take away a lot of time. But at the same time, I make darn good and sure I'm always an outstanding father as well as an outstanding husband. You know, I have a beautiful 2-year-old with my wife, and I'm always, you know, making sure Daddy's little girl is treated like the princess she is, and my wife's treated like the queen she should be. So it's really cool if she supports me doing all this stuff for the veterans and working with the organizations that I do. So it's just, like you said, you know, it's not just bringing somebody to the ball. It's quite a lot. And I just want to touch on one other fact real quick. you had just mentioned about, you know, fighting in a cage and being violent. You know, we're not savages. You know, when the cage door closes, that's a different shame that comes out. But at the same time, once that cage door opens and the referee either raises my hand or doesn't, you know, I can turn it on and off as well as in training. But I'm always willing to bring the younger guys under my wing. So, you know, you think these guys are all just killers going into gyms. No, I mean, I work with, at the gym, we have lawyers that come in, chiropractors, everybody, and they train right on alongside of you. But, you know, they're just so humble to grab your information, and I'm more than willing to give it. So I appreciate, you know, just the opportunity to share that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, both military and MMA fighters, there is a passion, there is a, like my time in the forces, there's a bond that's, it goes deeper than some friendships that you have outside of the forces, that you know is proven because you see it on a day-to-day basis, that, you know, they will stand by you through thick and thin because it's being tested sometimes on a daily basis, and that's not done on a level of aggression. That's done on a level of compassion, shall we say? You know, so, and that does transpire into MMA. You know, when people do step forward, the thing is, the masses don't see this. You know, this goes unseen. You know, all that gets reported is like the bombs blowing up and or what you see of a fighter on fight day. You know, you don't see the compassionate side really on a, you know, on a wide scale.
Yeah, the training,
you know,
the time that the hours you spend in training together, the sweat that you know pour out with each other,
the effort that people put into each other's well-being, like, you know. And
it is that it's beautiful that this is happening and this is able to get out there. I think moments like this is huge, and I hope that, you know, the World Series of Fighting are in some way looking to maybe add to this or do something with you with this. I hope they're, you know, putting their hands.
I hope it explodes on the scene and everyone takes a leaf.
Well, for example, Tim Kennedy, he's a very avid speaker about, you know, the military and obviously the pro fight. He's a great one to talk about it as well. And I hope you maybe get hooked up with Tim Kennedy as well. He'd be a great one to have to help you out. I'm sure he would be more than happy to, because he's not fighting at the moment. But, you know, you've got such a great kind of goal that you're setting and an example that you're setting to people. I think, Shane, what you're doing is something that we needed to get on to this podcast and get out there to the masses. And I can't really, you know, praise you enough. When I read and heard about this from a colleague of ours, it was just beautiful to hear, honestly, Shane.
It's nice to hear a heartwarming story.
It is, and Shane, I just have to take my hat off to you on that one. So you've done proud. You've done so many people proud with this.
I appreciate that. You know, and that was never my goal. Like I said before, you know, it was never my goal to go above and beyond and get, you know, recognition and go out and have all that recognition. You know, just a little caveat to the Tim Kennedy comment. So Tim Kennedy's involved with a company. I don't know if you guys probably heard, pretty familiar, Ranger Up.
Yep.
Those guys over there, that's been my family for years. Those guys have taken care of me ever since I was a young fighter and nobody would give me a chance. They were my first ever sponsor. And they're the only sponsor that stayed with me so far in my entire fighting career. They basically turned into family. And they're the ones, if it wasn't for them, and, you know, I shot it off a few of the guys on the board, and I showed them the video first and got some pointers and re-recorded. So it was really cool. So, yeah, you know, it is, like you said, you know, the military community. So I'm complete opposite coast. I'm on the West Coast, they're on the East Coast, and they had no problem. Hey, Shane, do this, this, and this, boom, 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 it'll be perfect. And I did. You know, and these guys took time out of their day, and they just got done recording a movie. So, you know, I'm bugging these guys, and, you know, normal people, if I tried hitting up my colleagues from work, they'd be like, oh, man, I'm too tired. I worked an 8-hour day. These guys just shot a movie for, you know, over almost a month straight, and they're like, oh, no problem, no problem, I got it. You know, it's so cool to have that camaraderie.
It is, and that's what I loved about the UFC when they did the military nights, you know, they did the fight.
Yeah.
They don't do any. It really frustrates me they don't do that anymore. And I want other, like Titan FC did it at the Aero Fest. They did the great show there. With the raise,
fantastic show, like,
you know, putting the money out there and help trying to raise awareness and put money there. And I think that, you know, combat sports, I think it's very good that the MMA community started doing that. I hope that the UK, we did talk about that a while back, didn't we, about the UK trying to do one as well.
Yeah, we tried to, I would love to see it happen. I mean,
it doesn't matter where, but it would be something that, you know, it's free.
There are charities in the UK that do help. I've recently linked up with Band of Brothers. There's also Band of Sisters, which looks into helping the wives, mothers, etc. And which is also linked in with Help for Heroes. Now, since I've literally just sort of joined them within the last couple of weeks due to personal things that I have to address, but they have been more than helpful, and the help is out there, but it needs backing from the public and everyone who walks free in this world is a beneficiary of the services. So everyone has an obligation to help those that have basically helped you stay free. You know,
that's why we're telling people to put a poppy on in the UK. Get the poppy on. We'll push it again. The next podcast we do. Shane, but you mentioned about Ranger Up. Do you want to give a mention to any websites that people can go on to you know, either donations, or if people are ex-service that maybe want to find someone to talk to or anything like that? If you got like kind of links like that people can go on to?
Okay. You know, the donation thing has just started. I never even figured that out. People just on Facebook wouldn't leave me alone, wanting to help out with the cause, because I was going to fund this out of my own pocket, which, again, irritated my wife, but she was supportive. But
how did you get through that without getting black eyes?
People that are, you know, helping out, because my goal is to pamper this Gold Star family, so family member. So I want to be able to send her to the spa. I want to be able to send this nice woman to, you know, spa, nice hotel room. You know, if a flight's needed, a flight's covered. I want to be able to do this stuff. So I'm taking donations on PayPal. It's SHANE_KRUCHTEN @ just my email address. That same email address, if you know a Gold Star Marine wife, mother, or daughter in the United States, please feel free to contact them. Give them that email address, and you can, you know, email me their name, as well as, you know, a little story about their fallen Marine. You know, not only are they my brother, you know, it's crazy the outpour of support I have from service members now. It's pretty international. I got an email this morning. I woke up to 2 emails. One was from actually Brazil. I don't know how somebody in Brazil heard about it, but that's amazing. And somebody in Canada. So it's really cool. You know, I just, another thing, you know, Twitter's huge. I'm trying to blow that up. It's SKRUCHTEN MMA. That's my Twitter handle, SCrutchen MMA. And, you know, my Facebook is just Shane Crutchen MMA. So, you know, any support I can get on this is huge. You know, re-sharing it. I'm trying to reach the big dogs. You know, Bill Goldberg, remember that guy from WWE?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he heard about this. I mean, he's been retweeting it. Ray Seffel, like you guys have mentioned, if WSOF was going to get behind. Ali has more than graciously gotten on board. Ray Seffel has blown it up. World Series, just their regular website has blown it up. So it's cool. It's starting to reach the right people. I don't think it's high enough yet. Unfortunately, it's pretty sad when somebody can invite Ronda Rousey and they get more publicity than inviting a real rock star. You know, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, you know, I never started to get publicity, so I don't really care because. Yeah, that's another story.
It made the world is crazy. When the best example was on a Joe Rogan podcast, he had Professor Brian Cox, who's, he's working at the HLC up in Switzerland, working on how they're trying to figure out how the Big Bang, how it all started. Yet you've got Kim Kardashian, who gets millions of followers, and more people are interested in her buying a pair of shoes than what this man is doing.
Just because she's got a big ass.
Just because she's got a big fake ass. The world is honestly, Shane. We know exactly how you feel about the world. It's sadly,
it's all backwards.
It's completely backwards. But yeah, we could go for hours on that one.
Yeah.
But, buddy, carry on. What are the charities then that you work with? What are the names of them again? And could you just mention if there's a website or a Facebook page that people can go on to them, etc.?
The charities that I do work with, Mighty Oaks Foundation is huge. They help give retreats to veterans that have PTSD, substance abuse issues, or emotional issues in a relationship. So they basically show veterans how to be better husbands, better men. It's a religious retreat. It's amazing. They're another organization that I'm on the national campaign team for is Wounded Warrior Project. Absolutely amazing. I'm very blessed to be able to do that with those guys. And you talk about an organization that does a lot for veterans, and I credit with a ton. The organization, it's part of the Marine Corps. It's called Wounded Warrior Battalion West, and they are actually hosting the ball. Those guys were there for me when I got hurt. Those guys have been there for me since I've been hurt. You're talking over 10 years. These guys have been there every step of the way. I can't get rid of them. They keep checking on me. And sometimes it's annoying, but at the same time it helps. There's also the same battalion of the Marine Corps that awarded me my Purple Heart for being wounded in action. So it's really cool. As far as websites, it's just YouTube. YouTube my name, and it'll come right up. It'll come up as Marine's Invitation to the 240th Ball. Uncle Sam's Misguided Children is another website. You can see my story on there. There's a few other outlets out there, and as you guys said, you guys are going to put it on your website, which is huge, and it's more than humbling and appreciated.
We'll get actually to a couple of sites. We've got a few friends that have quite a lot of Facebook pages with a lot of numbers on. We're going to have a word with them, and actually I'm an administrator on a few other pages. I'm going to get that on there without even telling them, because they haven't got a choice. And it'll be fine. Don't worry, there's going to be quite a few people seeing it.
I tell you what, it's the first time I know of a married man that's trying to take another woman to a party, and I can feel good about it.
My coach said that same thing. I walked into the gym, and my coach looks at me, he goes, "Wait, so technically, do you have a hall pass?" And I'm like, no.
Yeah, just how far does this go, by the way?
Man, I always thought she was awesome, but man, she is. Whoa!
Yeah, she's a keeper.
Yeah, she got a sister.
Shane, we cannot praise this movement that's happening, and
it's heartwarming.
It is. It is heartwarming, and you're a fighter, and we usually get we have all sorts of guests on, Shane, in the MMA community, and you know what? It's nice. It's a change to have a fighter on who's not here to talk about maybe his fight coming up next week, etc. Obviously, we do want you to have a great career in MMA, but this little bit that isn't necessarily MMA related is something that we love to have and help kind of push and let people know about.
And it's nice to feel good.
It's a very good.
It's good to feel good.
It is. So we're going to help. We'll help on our social media side of things to push this, and also hopefully maybe more veterans out there might reach out a bit more and to get involved.
Also, I'd like to say a big thank you to your wife for to have good forward thinking and understanding.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Do you know what I mean?
Thing.
So
it's good. It's shows that you've got a good heart of the pair of you.
Hats off to her as well.
Absolutely.
And we want to wish her a speedy recovery on her knee. Obviously, we hope she gets fully recovered so she can get back.
What's your plan for next year? Bit of an elbow injury.
Right, Shane, we will let you go, my friend, and have a great time at the ball. And whoever comes with you, we will look forward to them having
I hope they have a wonderful time.
Wonderful time.
Hey, gotta plug 10th Planet. So,
10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
Oh, 10th Planet
Freak
Jiu-Jitsu.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a 10th Planet practitioner. I'm very avid underneath the Freak Brothers. I know that they've been quite active in Europe, all over the United States. They're world-renowned. Gio Martinez as well as Richie Martinez, the Freak Brothers, and then Y.L. Watson is those three my main training partners. So it's all about the 10th Planet system, and I know we have schools all over the world. So just make sure if anybody's listening and want to check out the best jiu-jitsu in the world, they asked. I don't know if you saw the video of Eddie Bravo getting asked what's the difference between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and and he goes, the difference is we're actually open-minded and we're willing to try anything.
That's very Eddie Bravo. We've had Wally Watson on before. He's a good man, and I follow him on Instagram and stuff, and he's always there posting 10th Planet stuff. Always.
Follow me. It's Dago _KRUCH. That's my Instagram.
I will jump on your Instagram, my friend, and I'll jump on and give you a follow.
You'll get some good laughs. I post a lot of veteran stuff, but I also post a lot of just goofy off the wall stuff, and you get to see my daughter like it's going out of style.
Right, Shane, we are going to put a load of this stuff on our Facebook page too, ladies and gentlemen. Back it, help. Even if it's not, even if you're not listening in the US, because we get listeners all around the world. Try and maybe help out your local veterans or etc. In any shape or form. It's very important.
Yeah, everyone's veterans matter.
Exactly. So Shane, have a great time. Have a great ball, so to speak.
Yes.